Hello, beautiful people of the world. Today I wanted to talk about mental illness and how this fits in on a spiritual level and kind of just some information that I'm channeling through. And just before I even start, I want to say that if you personally identify with having a mental illness or you know somebody that does, I'm sending you a lot of love and light and acceptance and forgiveness and validation and all these things that you probably want because it's hard to live like that. Not everybody is neurotypical. Not everybody has had an easy life, and we all kind of have our things and we all struggle to some degree. You could be the Buddha himself, and I'm not sure I could ask and he wouldn't be worried about one thing during the day. Be like, oh no, something, and then catch himself and go back into like perfect bliss and harmony. But I bet that still happens. So like, it's unrealistic to be that hard on yourself. If you're not really high functioning or if you're just having a lot going on. I mean, the bread and butter of being a human right now is anxiety and depression, and like everybody goes through those two things. It's just a part of being alive, and animals go through that too. It's part of being on earth. It's natural in a sense, but at the same time I do believe that you can get to a state of being where you're happy most of the time, or at least like on a deep internal level you feel good about yourself and you know that you're going to recover kind of quickly, like to just have a general baseline of self-love to fall back onto when these things are flaring up and when life is getting really extreme. Because the thing about it is that Earth is a dualistic reality. So, think about yin and yang. We are in a world of polar opposites, and saying bipolar disorder, which is something that I've been diagnosed with when I was like 17. It was categorized as rapid cycling bipolar disorder, and I really identified with that for a long time. And my psychiatrist actually, she told me that I would have that forever and that there was something wrong with my head chemically, and I wasn't producing enough something or other for myself, and so this medication would help me get through that, what have you. But hearing that that was something that I was going to have for the rest of my life, there was something wrong with me, was really debilitating, especially to hear that from someone who's like a medical professional. Which is another word for healer, but it's just like a bit more disconnected now, obviously. But that can be really hard for people, and I think that labels are good. I think the diagnosis is good. If it makes you feel good, then it's good. If labels don't make you feel good, then you don't have to use them. It doesn't even have to stay the same for your whole life. Like, just play around with what fits you, but basically, like, any option's valid. Some people really benefit from medication. In other people's realities, I think it can make things worse or different. It really kind of depends on everything that's going on. But the point being is, I think it's normal to flip between these two worlds because there's a lot going on right now. There's this understanding, I think, that there's something bigger than us out there in the world, and it's beautiful and amazing, and this planet is gorgeous, and love and beauty and intelligence and art and fantasy and romance and all these things in the heart, like, that is good. But then you look around at like where we've come as human beings, and it's terrifying. And it's really depressing. And that vibration of just our collective imbalance with nature right now is so extreme and it's so polarizing, and it is causing a lot of mental imbalances. We are all connected. Like everything, obviously every molecule, but then like on bigger levels, all human beings are connected to each other, and it is very electromagnetic in nature. It's very social. It involves a lot of technology now, and we have this like collective consciousness, which I think Carl Jung was talking about a long time ago, but it is taught differently in school. It's not as one-sided as the interpretations, but anyway, there is this like collective brain. Like, you can even think of it as like an iCloud, whatever. Apple is a very international company. A lot of people own these products now. They are on a similar wavelength, just like there's only a few really major cell phone networks, at least here in America. And so you're connected to all these people, like these giant groups of people, and you spend so much time on your phone, like interacting with things and integrating with this technology in this field. You are so hooked up to humans everywhere all the time, which is in itself is a very beautiful thing. But when it is not in alignment, it can cause these kind of feelings. um in terms of animal anxiety and depression, I can only speak to what I've known. Observing wild animals, I really don't see that very often, except in cases of fear for their own survival. And then it's very intense. They have this very intense anxiety and fear that they're gonna die, and their whole body is just pouring with that. So they experience feelings like that. It's just the triggers are more immediate and they're like actually right there in front of you. But humans imagine like like a deer in the middle of the road. It's gonna see a car and it's gonna be like, oh my god, there's a car right there. I'm really freaked out because it needs to do something. But a human being will be like sitting somewhere thinking about being in a car, thinking about a deer, thinking about hitting a deer, thinking about being attacked, and then you're feeling all these things, but you're just sitting there where the deer's actually fucking there. You know what I mean? So that's probably why we're not really as good with that. But dogs and cats, you know, they are experiencing a lot of human type emotions. And by that I mean relatable emotions, that we actually can share feelings with these entire species on a really deep level because we've evolved with them, you know, and everything like that. And they can have anxiety and depression mostly related to being outside. I mean, inside, like being kept inside, is probably number one right off the bat. That's everyone that owns a dog, basically. And at the same time, like, if your dog is an outside dog all of the time, like, at least have a shelter for it and make sure that they're warm and, like, give them food when they need it and stuff like that. Like, if the dog trusts you and everything, please take care of it, because some dogs can survive on their own, but not that many these days, and they don't really know how to hunt for themselves. Their instincts have been, a lot of them have been completely bred out of them, and even if they caught an animal, they wouldn't really know what to do with it. Things like this. It's less like true of cats, who have a lot of their natural instinct ingrained because they would never let go of it. But I don't know if this makes any sense anymore. I just I feel like I wanted to ramble about something, and this is something that I think about a lot, whether it's my own or the people around me or like my family or collectively as a society. Like, everyone's kind of going through whatever they're going through, and you can, you know, call it whatever you want. It's not even really a mental illness at this point. It's just emotions and thoughts mixed together. You know, that's hard for anyone to do. But yeah, I hope that some of you can relate to what I'm saying, and if it helps at all, then that makes me really happy. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I'm gonna do sun signs soon. That's gonna be the agenda, because everyone knows what their sun sign is, and I forgot that I hadn't done any of those. So I'll be back soon. Peace.